We accept that the influencer marketing is a tool of marketing. Just like every single tool, it's quite obvious that the reliability of it can be discussed from different players of the industry. To discuss if we should really trust this tool or not, I would like to invite to the stage Diipa Khosla, Suzanne Isaac Solomon Bruch, known as Wonderful Places, and Serdar Ekrem Şirin, the founder of Muse and Like Public, and the INFLOW Summit's Vice President Avşin Avcı, again as the moderator.
We're going to basically discuss about is influencer marketing trustworthy or not, because there is a huge discussion in the market. We are hearing this from both influencers and also from the brands as well, mostly from brands. Of course, this is a really important and new marketing tactic that most of the brands want to invest in. But at the same time, on the contrary, there's a discussion about if it is a hype or it is a sustainable trend in terms of digital marketing. So I'd like to discuss this issue a little bit today. We have you here as well. Thank you. So this question is like for all of you. Do you think that influencer marketing is looking like a hype, or it will be a sustainable and long-term marketing tactic that will last like, I don't know, for years and years? What do you think about this? We can maybe start with you.
Well, I honestly believe it started off as a hype. It came out of nowhere and exploded like wildfire. And the next thing you know, the biggest career move every teenager wants to do in high school is to become an influencer. That's literally, the statistics say that most high school students now, when asked for what do you want to become when you grow up, is they want to be an influencer. So yeah, I think it did, the way it started, it exploded. But where is it going to go from now? Honestly, I think it's all about the way innovation happens. And if there's a new app like Instagram, then all the Instagram influencers would have to move there. So I think it's going to stay in some form or another, but it might change from how it's done today.
Yes, I must agree to Diipa. As for now, it's a real thing. Before it was kind of like just a hype. So I think for the next few years, it's going to be good still.
My general feeling is that as far as advertising and marketing, it's a transition time with print marketing on the decline, with regular television all over the world in decline as well too. People and brands are always looking for new avenues to reach people. And I think with the intimacy of reaching people on their mobile devices, using social media with people that they can relate to, I think it's something that will continue long term as one avenue of reaching people for the brands.
I think, of course, it's a pretty new thing for brands. And for brands that are making marketing communications, even not a decade passed by, first started in social media, the influencer marketing thing. And in advertising, you know, there is an old cliche, half of the advertising is waste, but nobody knows which half. But all the brands and agencies go on making advertising. So we are all brands and agencies in a learning period for influencer marketing. And this morning I write is influencer marketing on Google, and the shortcuts are, is it worth it, ethical, and so, or that, or so. So we are in a learning period, but as the years pass by, I think it will be more normal, and a kind of a must for brands.
You own an agency, you founded an agency
Yes.
which is working in the influencer marketing area, working with brands and influencers at the same time. How do you think an agency working in this area should act in order to increase the trustworthiness or the sustainable side of this? How an agency adds onto this?
At first, it was kind of a struggle with brands because as brands are more conservative for new things, they just take influencers as celebrities and they send us kind of scripts, brands or agencies, but it doesn't work because the influencers know their audience much more than the agencies or us or the brands. But now, as the KPI set, it's more easier for us as an agency and for brands to trust.
And for you guys as an influencer, when you go to the brands, when you have meetings, when you're discussing projects with brands, if there is a question mark on the trust, how you deal with it, how you explain this to the brands, how you deal with this question mark in general?
In general, I would say that for us, it's very important when we're working with a brand that communication, that we establish contracts or written protocols that stipulate the number of posts, the type of content, those sorts of things, because that way there can be a building of trust on both sides. And at the end of the day, you're building long-term relationships with people, and over time you develop that trust. But again, it's very important for us when we work together on a collaboration that we're able to communicate as much as possible to make sure that both sides are comfortable with everything that's going to happen.
I think for me it's more every time I discuss a partnership with a brand to show them case studies and statistics, because at the end of the day, when it's a PR firm or a brand, they need to be answerable to their bosses, to be that we've allocated budget to this project and has it done what it's meant to do. So at the end of the day, they want the best benefit as well. So it's up to you to show them that, look, when I did it this way and organically, the way that my audience prefers it, that brand got a much higher interaction. And when I did it the way I was just told to, and even the caption was given exactly how they wanted it, the interaction went down. So if you want me to do my job the best way, let me prove it to you by what really works. And we're not the old age media where it can be so controlled. Like, you have to flow with the way your audience flows and what the trend is or what filter works now, and then they do listen to you because numbers speak for themselves. So.
In the beginning, you mentioned about children wanting to be an influencer for the future. In a meeting like a month ago with a hotel group in Istanbul, the hotel manager told us this story. Her child just turning to 13, and for his birthday, he requested from everyone, his relatives, moms and dads, he requested money instead of gifts. So they asked the child, like, why you are doing this? And this is not good to request for money for your birthday. And he answered that he needs money to purchase gadgets for being YouTuber in the future. He needs camera, he needs microphones, so he needs money for that. So that's why he wanted money instead of gifts. So there are thousands of people like this who started this as a business, trying to base their whole life on this. When they are against to brands in a meeting, or when they have the chance to explain themselves to the brands, what would you suggest to them in order to create this trust when they're having these conversations with brands? Because we know that not all of them, but most of the brands have still big question marks, because they're so used to spending their money on very scheduled way. Like they have the newspapers, they have the TV ads, they have the radio, they have, I don't know, the digital banners. which they don't know who is looking at.
Yeah.
So they're really afraid of shifting this budget to this whole new tactic. So to those people who are just starting off, what would you suggest when they have this chance to conversation with brands?
To me, I would just say that be very professional. Again, it's the numbers game. The reason why luxury brands and a lot of brands in the world prefer working still with journalists or magazines over a lot of influencers, because when a journalist says they'll do something, they'll do it. They'll do it at the right time. They'll do it the right way it's expected. So it's very professional. But an influencer, especially if it's a young teenager who doesn't really take it so seriously professionally, might not post at the right time or doesn't fulfill the contract, basically. So just be professional, fulfill your contract, do the best work you can do, and then you'll start that initial trust, and then you can build on that, and then a brand's going to be happy, I think. What do you guys think?
Yes, I agree. I think professionalism is very important. We can also provide the numbers. Now with the Instagrams, it's getting better and better for providing information. We can provide them our insights. And then, we work previously a lot with different hotel and resorts brands. And then we started like small, and then we got it more and more. And then usually when the new prospect customer email us, then they're gonna ask like, our numbers, like what was the result from your previous work, and then we can provide them. And then also, yeah, very important to have some contracts, and then posting on the time that requested, or caption, or the content that they provide. It's very important.
And for us as well too, a number of that we've collaborated with, these are people that we've built up year after year, and they keep wanting to work with us over and over again. And they make themselves available. If there are people who are on the fence about whether they would want to move more towards digital marketing, they're more than happy to talk to them and explain, the benefits and what they've gotten out of the experience, presenting their information to a different audience.
Mr. Serdar, you are so close to the brands because of your owning an agency. I know that you are working with brands really closely. What do they think about this? I mean, do they think, or do you think that there is a trust problem in influencer marketing, or if yes or if no, what do they think about this issue?
Of course, they think in some categories there is a big trust problem, but as everything is measurable in influencer parts, as the years pass, they become more used to it, and they leave the influencers free. But lots of brands all around the world, not just Turkey, they are still conservative about it, but I think they will be too late for them to catch, because there aren't millions of influencers in the world, and there will not be, because we will see, maybe next year, we will see lots of influencers disappear also if they don't take their job professionally. So the brands that get used to it early have a little bit, maybe, a trust problem, but others still have.
What do they ask mostly when working, when they come to you for influencer marketing project? What are the first questions that they ask?
For brands, they take it first personally. Like say, I know there are great influencers in here, but some influencers just want a great amount of money for a post or for a video, and the brand people take it personally and say, for just a video or just a post, so if you take it just like this, not take it professional. Professional means setting the good and measurable KPIs. If they don't do it, then throughout the meeting, the trust problem will be on the table.
Especially for Instagram, there is another discussion we have been facing a lot, especially in the last 1 year. It's about the growth of accounts. We know that Instagram is changing the algorithms every time. Now it's really hard to reach those people who are already following you. At that time, it's like kind of impossible to reach the new people. So how do you think the organic growth can happen? Or another topic about this, there's a discussion between the organic and inorganic growth as well, especially for Instagram. How do you think this will affect the future of influencer marketing? Because some of the people think that it's a huge threat for influencers as well. I mean, the inorganic growth they mentioned. So how do you think this will affect the future of especially Instagram?
For us, I mean, it's definitely a challenge when we speak to people about it because, again, every day we receive countless emails from people who are trying to sell fake likes, fake followers, and that's something that we've never engaged in, and we always advise people never to do, no matter how tempting it is, because in the end, Instagram, it's a cat and mouse game, and they will identify the fake followers at some point, and then from there, in addition to challenging the integrity of the entire market. So that is definitely something, when people ask us about that, we always say to check out the engagement rate. That's one way that you can look for telltale signs, the types of comments that are there, the types of the accounts, the names of the accounts. Those are different things that we would advise as far as establishing the trust of the legitimacy. But I would say to someone that was working with influencers that it's very important that you vet those influencers. And if you ask around with other people that are familiar, they will tell you the reputation because it's within the community itself, it's known which people are suspected or not for using those sorts of techniques.
And speaking about the algorithm, the new algorithm, I think a lot of influencers have lately been complaining about that as well because people who used to get the most incredible engagement suddenly dropped as soon as the algorithm changed because even your audience, a big chunk of them don't end up seeing your posts. And the way to change that, I think, is just do things like call for actions, do more on your Insta stories, tell them to go look at your latest post, like do things to try and build that up again because just complaining about it, I don't think Instagram is going to change their algorithm now. They want to move to the future and they're a business at the end of the day too, so they're doing these things so that we would put more ads and then spend more money on Instagram so then our post is more visible, the same way Facebook does, for example. But yeah, it's just something that's happened, and I know a lot of, and me too, I've seen some dips and then some highs, like some posts do better than ever before, and then some do way worse, and that's just the natural flow of the new algorithm, yeah.
On the brand side, there are also a lot of brands who want to deal with it by themselves rather than working with agencies because they believe this is the best way according to their scale as well. What would you suggest them to define the right person, the right influencer to work with?
Our experience is there is one thing that the brands miss. It's ego, because I don't take it as negative, but everybody in here has kind of an ego. The influencers has also, and dealing with that ego, if you don't know how to talk with them, it becomes a problem. For brands also, but for some brands, of course, it's easy if they know the influencer to make kind of meetings or do the project, but at the end, the influencer can just give a simple kind of report to them, but if they work with the agencies in terms of budget and in terms of KPIs, it will be much more advantage for them.
Okay. For the future, what do you think the influencer marketing will go through? Because the budgets are increasing. The estimated budget is right now globally 1.6 billion US dollars, and it's estimated to go up to 5 billion US dollars in 2020. So what do you want to say about the future of this? Do you think we will be seeing influencer marketing courses in the universities or even departments, or will it just stay like this, like a personal enthusiasm?
I think, to begin with, I think it's going to have more rules and laws to it. Like, it just came out of nowhere. Like, even sometimes what an influencer at 100K asks for a post might be the same as someone at 1 million. Like, no one knows what they're asking, you know? So I feel like in the beginning it's going to start to have more rules and laws of how things are done a little better. Brands are going to get a better understanding of that too. And the way luxury brands work compared to high street brands are different. So luxury brands like to find someone that can join their family, and then they work with them more long term. But it's harder to get in first, you know, while high street is more on a faster basis. And obviously the budgets are increasing, so like he said, the people who are more authentic will, I think, be around longer term. And the ones who aren't then will probably either fade out, or there's going to be new ones coming up. And about the universities thing, I do believe that. I think universities are going to start talking about social media within communication courses and marketing. And I've spoken myself at a couple of universities as, you know, about the same topic. So I think that's, yeah, people are just going to start becoming more and more knowledgeable about the topic. Yeah.
And going forward in the future, I don't think that the audience is going to become less fractured for traditional media. I think it's only going to be becoming more and more mobile-centric. I think people are becoming more and more comfortable on e-commerce on mobile devices, and I think it's the present, and I think it's the future, and it's only going to become more ingrained. Instagram has introduced in their own advertising platform to the ability to buy directly from the post that you see, and I think that more and more influencers will be able to take advantage of that as well too. So I know, speaking for us, we're very much looking forward. Right now is great, but we think the next few years are going to be even better as people become more and more comfortable doing a large % of their purchasing over mobile devices.
I think for the years to come, the budgets will be more normal, because the brands see that it's not easy to handle large amounts of money for just any campaign for one or two influencers. Brands and agencies more focus on now to micro-influencers. And the influencer marketing is much seen from brands as a reach. The currency is much more a kind of an engagement than reach, but throughout the years, the engagement and conversation will be the currency. So the biggest, the top influencers will normally decrease their budgets.
Thank you so much for your comments and also opinions. I would like to ask if you got any question from the crowd. No question? I think everything is set and clear then. Okay. Thank you so much for listening and joining me.